Hello.
Hi.
Hey, is it okay if we shoot?
No, you're fine.
Okay. We're getting buckets. Trust. Okay. Fine. Find that rhythm. Trust. Whoop. How you doing?
Do I know you guys? Above the thought game is the master game, which will go undefined. But at that level, you recognize that to find a game worth playing and to live it as though your life depended on it is important. Because if you don't find a game worth playing and you die, you will wonder what you live for.
When did you come to that realization?
Very good. I came to realize it in my 20s when I decided that the art game would be worthwhile. And I didn't make money off art until I was 30 and helped build a factory and to be involved with the creation of skateboards, which turned into skateboard art, which which helps sell the product. I have been with the art game and skateboard art for 45 years, the result of which is that at this point, if you go and buy a skateboard at a shop, they will ask you if it's for display or if you're going to shred it, dude. And more my art on skateboards is being bought for display, which charms me. Are we rolling?
We are rolling.
My name is Vernon Courtlandt Johnson. I'm in male form on planet Earth at this date, 75 years of age. The date is April 5th, 6th, 7th, something like that.
Let's see.
It's probably
April 8th.
Show. April 8th. I have sworn to speaking truth today, and you as a viewer may view my body language and judge me accordingly. Of course, the first thing is unquestionable because I am smoking clove and tobacco and have been for 30 years. I'm feeling very well in sound, in body and mind and soul, and glad to extemporize like this for the viewer. Mm-hmm. We are considering the matters of truth, love, self-knowledge, and in the course of what follows, you will be coming into our conversation today knowing that we have already discussed many matters in the last hour.
Why do you think it was your design that is the one that's still being sold today, years after you created it? Is it because you went at it with an intention that was genuine?
I changed my drawing style just for the skateboard world. I wasn't drawing that way. I was drawing free of expectation before I did skateboard art. I decided that the skateboard could be covered with art effects, and it proved itself. I chose symbols to portray that have ancient values, skulls and snakes and swords and flames and dragons and such, which have ancient value. And my boss has discouraged me from portraying topical matters or matters of our time, our times. And so I continue to use symbols which are of ancient meaning. And indeed it has proven itself out because I've lived long enough to see my work lifted and copied many times. And I have a collection of photographs of tattoos of my work put on people's bodies, and to enjoy the other artists who say, your work really influenced me and inspired me to make art, and that in itself is rewarding to me. Connor has expressed an interest in movie making, which I have considered and expressed in my belief to be a worthy cause, and that movie making is the red carpet into the age of introspection. Movie making with sound is now 100 years old.
Mm.
It's 100 years old, and it is going to reveal to us much of human nature. Movie making about anything is a worthy cause. They say no. They say knowledge is power. I will push it one step further and say, only self-knowledge brings self-fulfillment.
What does it say about someone who has indecision?
Indecision is understandable. We have indecision because we know that once we decide, there will be a consequence to our decision, and a consequence that we might have to answer to. Oops. Oops. Why did I do that? Fear of failure, which is good, because fear of failure is an aspect of conscience. Without fear of failure, the conscience is a little feeble. You can embark upon a task and enjoy it so much that all of a sudden time has gone by and it is done, and you just go, I don't remember doing anything, but the task is done, and people around me are amazed because I did it with grace, the third grace.
So Connor and I have talked a lot this trip on just stories and the power of story. I think as I have been studying lately, like stories are what kind of make the world go around. It's why I think a guy like Kobe Bryant, before he passed away, man, I feel like his impact on this world was going to be so great because of his desire to work with stories. And this guy was a master of storytelling, not only to the world around him, but to himself. This dude was a master of being able to take something in his life, reframe it, and take the power of the story. Because a story is what drives meaning, purpose, responsibility, truth. All of these stories, and whose story is most important is probably our own. That we understand our story, that we know that we are the author of our own story, that we must take the reins of these stories. So as Connor and I have been reflecting, like one of the things that has really stood out to me on this journey for myself is like we all have these narratives that go on in our heads. And you can see how, like, let's say, for example, in the NBA, they have these narratives. Who's the MVP? Who's this? And everybody's just making up opinions and saying stories based on their perspective as to why Jokic should be MVP. Why should Embiid be MVP? And these narratives aren't truth. These narratives are just narratives. They're stories that we make up to examine our experience. And oftentimes we rationalize these stories. We oftentimes rationalize why things are so hard or why things were truly victimizing us. And what I've learned about story is until you aren't the victim of your story, you can't write the most empowering story. You can't write the thing that you want to create, the narrative that you want to create for your life. And I can see that as a coach. I've been a youth coach now for a while, and seeing that parents have the best intention. They want to protect their kids. They want to take care of their kids. But sometimes the best thing for their kid is not for the parent to come in and say, oh, the coach sucks. Why does your coach suck? Why is he not sub you? Why is he? It's like what truly that person needs is to take the reins of their experience, to take whatever feedback they're getting and channel it to make themselves better, to change the narrative. And I tell the kids, I'm like, don't take my narrative. If I'm not subbing you in, if I'm not giving you the minutes, don't just believe my narrative. That's just my opinion. That's how I see you right now. But don't let that stop you from growing. I want to change my opinion. I want to change my narrative. I'm not stubborn in it. And so I think I saw in firsthand, like, it is like the people around us that love us, they don't want to see us suffer. They don't want to see us go through pain. But oftentimes that pain is what offers us the greatest chance to change and grow. I mean, we all know this. Like, there's no story if the hero in the story doesn't have challenges to go through. We need those to give us meaning. Like, fuck, you grew, you grew. And I just realized that, like, it's oftentimes easy to rationalize ourselves in our own story and pick out the certain things that we want for the narrative to make sense of it. Like, oh, I'm a victim because of this, and you selectively choose the things that fit your narrative rather than finding truth, finding responsibility, and you are sovereign of your experience. And so the power of story is that narrative, like, we can't possibly conceive all of reality at once. So oftentimes our brain will, like, kind of create a story to kind of circuit that, like, create a shortcut to what we see and what meaning we see. So oftentimes when we work with our narrative, it completely changes our life because we get to a level of truth that gives us a level of clarity that allows us to move forward in our life in the way that is actually going to help us grow, not victimize us. That might be for. That was kind of tough.